obviously not the start that they wanted, having some issues with the roster. Of course, they talked about the Alfari swap on the analyst desk. Jenkins is trying to build with the team, and we'll see how good they can look here today against a Dignitas that is definitely surging.
Absolutely. The question is, will the surge continue with Yusui on the roster? If you take a very broad brush and say, look, all competitive games you ever played in any level of competition, well, the old mid laner had a higher win rate, all right? It looked better for Yusui.
Some Immortals.
What?
Or
what? No, for Dignitas.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, okay.
Right? Soligo should be out for Yusui. The graphic right there should be... I believe incorrect.
I'm confused because the
of course, Immortals also have Pretty coming in, so that's going to be its own thing with Insanity out. But we got a lot going on, as we
do have a lot going on.
Yeah, but as a quick check, basically, Yusui's most played, and you would look this up as well. I followed you onto the website. His most played, Aurelia. And Silas right there at the very top, Zoe behind. Yeah, and if you look over at Soligo's most played champions, like, here's Azir, and then here's Syndra, and then here's Orianna, then here's Zoe, and, like, you know, number 5 is Silas, whatever. So it is a very big champion mix. If you look at all the games Yusui has played so far in Academy in the summer split, it's Viego, it's Renekton, it's one more fighter that I've forgotten about, but it's just all melee AD. I think Lee Sin is the third one. Yeah. And even though I'm keeping getting the name wrong because it's not on the screen in front of me anymore, even though Soligo did win 2 set games, he's also played a bunch of mages. Like, even yesterday, he played Syndra in Academy. So it seems like they really want more melee fighters, some AD champs in the mid lane. That seems to be, from what I can tell, part of the reason Yusui is in.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how it actually does pan out. It was kind of a surprising move because they did have a first week that looked quite good. This is a triple flex. I mean, Dardoch has shown that he will play the Lee Sin. We know that Yusui can play it. We know that Fake God could play it. Top lane is definitely where it is most common by far in pro play. But more of these teams are showing that they are willing to flex to try to find advantageous matchups. TL, though, just going for straight raw power here. Rumble should be in the jungle. Viego very likely mid lane. Would be an interesting look there for Jensen. Of course, it can also go top. So the priority on flex picks really does seem pretty huge so far. And it kind of reminds me back when it was like a really big Akali Sylas meta where it was all about flex between solo lanes. It feels like we are kind of returning to that. With Kalista coming through, I'll be interested to see if Dignitas wants to ban away some of the really heavy engaged supports and then pick one for themselves. You know, maybe ban away a Leona, an Alistar, take a Nautilus, that type of attack over towards what CoreJJ wants to do. You are really expecting that he wants one of those aggressive supports to be able to throw in, to be able to play in the face of Ezreal and threaten that all in. And if they don't get one of those, I think it's a lot harder to look for that lane. So Thresh makes a lot of sense, and we'll see if they want to continue along that line and really go for multiple bans and kind of targeting of CoreJJ's support pool.
Well, right now, Thresh off the table. Leona getting banned away on the TL side, though, as well. Maybe saying, hey, Leona. To be fair, if you are not really nearby anyone, Kalista kind of gets wrecked by Leona stuff. Like, if you're stunned mid-spear throw, you don't jump afterwards. So it can be tough to dodge. Leona engaged from out of range.
I'm just a little bit surprised because I expect such a targeting of the melee support champion pool, and then they're kind of self-banning a little bit there too. It is a good matchup against it, but now, you know, it depends what your read is on what Dignitas wants to do. Maybe TL is saying, okay, you're going to pick Karma, right? Like, so we don't care. But, you know, if Afra were to go to like an Alistar here, then what is your next kind of pick
Probably
down
Rel.
the line, right? You know, maybe it is Rel, maybe it is even like Rakan or something. But these are picks that are definitely not S tier as far as the hard engaged champions these days. So I would like to see Dignitas try to continue to attack that champion pool. Of course, there are other ones that you could go to, but I do think if you take away Alistar, TL really does start to hurt a little bit as far as their good pairings. If they want to go for the Nocturne, this means Lee Sin is going to be in the jungle. They have the Akali mid lane, and I'm expecting an Alistar pairing, but not 100% sure where he wants to take us. I mean, it could be something a little bit different. You could be looking towards, you know, even the Gragas. We've seen that as well. GP as top laner would make a lot of sense. I'm expecting Jensen will be piloting the Viego. We saw Jenkins having a good game into the Gwen on the GP.
Yep, it's Rel.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, the reason I call out for Rel is I think Rel is very good, but the difficulty with Rel is her baseline engage range is really bad. It's really, really short. It's like flash W, and that can be reacted to in a lot of cases. When you have a Kalista in your team, that entire giant weakness is like, here, I threw you in, enjoy the rest of your combo being amazing. And it's like, no one else wants Rel. Like, she's not that strong outside of the help to get into the melee range, so I think Tierra like, cool, yep, we're good. Go for it. You can't take this away from us because you don't want it.
It's really interesting because, I mean, if they're not willing to go to it, then that works out perfectly. But I also feel like, you know, Alistar not only is a good pairing with Kalista, but a good pairing against the Rel. So, you know, I feel like it would have been a good option there for Dignitas. Of course, that's not going to be where they want to take us. It is instead the Rakan here. So, you know, not the most powerful laner by any means. This really does feel like Dignitas' bot lane is going to be very much on the back foot here. Unless you can land an incredible amount of poke. Like, you just want nothing to do with the 2v2, really.
Yes.
It feels like, all right, Ezreal, you stand 20 yards back, and I'll see you in 20 minutes. I'm out of here.
Well, speaking of seeing you in 20 minutes, Nocturne going to be farming for the first 6 to get the ulti available. So Dardak gets another new champion onto the list. Obviously, Lee, Nocturne, either one can be a very good jungler. Dardak did play Lee Sin jungle earlier, so that's why we had the leaning. But does go Nocturne here, Lee Sin top lane in. And yeah, I'm expecting the bot lane to try to neutralize. You're like, okay, we are against a Kalista lane. We are hiding from this. Ezreal already is pretty good at neutralizing lanes and just hiding and just, you know, last hit with Mystic Shot from far away and saying, hey, Rakan, just go roam, just go win mid lane for us. I'm just going to chill under turret. That feels like the play here from the Dignitas side.
And we'll see if he's able to pull it off. I mean, Rakan does have some decent roams, but honestly, pre-6, it's not even that threatening. Which
Not
is,
really.
like, again, why I'm kind of like hung up on the Alistar pick. I just feel like it really would have fit. It's also a great pick for Afro, but not the option here, and we'll see how effective they can be. Of course, post-6, I think that's mostly what they're looking for. It, again, is one of these heavy dive comps. They're becoming so meta these days. You're looking at 4 melee and then the Ezreal.
Yes, well, we are on to the Rift. Team Liquid. They used to be back-to-back champions. And lots of people were left with their heads scratched as they benched Alfari, the best top laner in the LCS from the spring split. Did not look good in his first game of Summer. They said that the practice games leading into the split were part of the reason they benched him after a single game. He is out for about a month.
He just got spotted. This could actually be problematic. CoreJJ might have to flash.
Yeah, Afro's here.
They don't have enough threat, I don't think.
Maybe not, but he's still going to be down to 300 health and ignited. Yeah, he's going to flash, but far too late. He's going to run for his life. Is there even a flash follow, though? It will not be enough. He's able to simply walk away. Yes, he burns the flash. I guess he got to bait the ignite from Afro. Out he goes.
Interesting. I thought they might have hard committed to that and just kind of flash followed and look for the kill. But with the move speed that you get from remounting there, I think they weren't certain that they could actually pull off that play. Does end up being the 4th flash there, though. Cool attempt. You know, obviously he wanted to get into the tri-brush and then wait for the W cooldown and then get a wraparound with the engage with the flip as you are remounting. And then could have been a very advantageous level 1 play for them. But there is a risk for these types of moves that you're looking for. And the fact that Neo spotted them, they're able to punish. Yes, they get the ignite out of Afro, but the flash being down for CoreJJ removes a lot of the threat of the all-in. And when you're playing with Kalista, you want to be playing with that threat.
Okay, so on Tauren did in fact smite red buff. I was hoping to make sure that was going to happen because Rumble does not do much damage post overheat at level 1. Indeed, burn smite to make the first camp go faster and then continue on his full clear. Dardak doing the exact same thing mirrored. Red buff into Krugs, mostly a full clear. Sometimes they'll skip Gromp to make sure they're fighting Scuttle at the same time. But they're also just going to be ships in the night, hitting other sides of the map across from each other at that 3:15 point when the Scuttle spawns. Top lane is Fake God playing really defensively against Jenkins. Takes a Q, does not get the empowered auto off, so okay, not a big deal.
Yeah, Alfari wishing the team luck there today. Obviously a bit of a tough situation for him, but good to see he's still supporting the squad. And TL here, I like the draft. You know, we talked mostly about the Dignitas side. Obviously, I was pretty interested in kind of the options for support picks there. But not only do they have a Rel, the ability to throw it in here with this Kalista, you also have GP plus the Rumble ulti, which is pretty powerful. And you can drop the GP ulti on them, slow them down, the Rel gets thrown in, you equalizer over top with the Magnet Storm coming across, and hopefully you're locking down those Dignitas members into that real combo that can be very deadly. I mean, if you get stuck in GP ulti with equalizer, you're pretty much roasted. So I'll be interested to see if they want to play this more as like counter engage or if they're going to be the ones engaging themselves, because Dignitas also has 4 members that just have to dive in on you, right? And this can also be incredibly strong if you save it to actually respond to the engage from Dignitas as the Akali and Lee are all flying in. We see a wraparound here from Dardak, though. Remember, no flash on CoreJJ.
Bitter damage. They dodge most of the skill shot, but now CoreJJ is a very easy target. Crashes down, though. Saved it. Dardak flashes to follow. Do they have the damage for Tactical? He's alive so far. Somebody heal popped, and they just do not have the damage, and here comes Santorin. but he is not willing to deal the damage as the rest of the TL bot lane is too low on health.
That was so close. Dardoch looking, I think, to try to maintain the leash on the fear as he flashed over, but of course, Tactical cleared enough distance to break that, so even with Dardoch coming over, they do trade flashes. Still nice because they force out the heal as well, but not able to get the kill. I do like the move, though, from Dardoch, and he is one of those players that really does like to hunt for those flashes.
Knock-up found, auto attack ignite. It is easy. Afro sets it up and proves once and for all, yes, support is indeed that easy. First blood on a Tactical.
Really nicely done. They get the TP out of Jenkins as well, and Jenkins didn't even get to buy, so this is actually really awkward. Jenkins now has to base, walk back towards top lane where it's going to get reset by Fake God here. He should be able to fully push out that wave and very likely save his teleport to be able to threaten on that bot side where there's still going to be down summoners. And that was just so well played by Afro and Neo. You know, the real short range on the W there gives you very little time to react. They knew that Tactical had no flash, so as long as you're doing that point blank, there's not really any outplay. This is just very cleanly done. Replay starting up a little bit later, but of course he just jumped to Neo, and then the point-blank W right on top of Tactical. When that lands, the TP was not going to be enough from Jenkins.
Fortunate for Jenkins, he is in lane in time. The wave was pretty slow to push out. Doran's shield Lee Sin, not a wave clear machine at level 4. So takes the time, did as best he could, but Jenkins doesn't miss almost a thing. So that is fortunate, because that could have been so bad, right? That could easily just in a different world has been 2 waves gone. And I think he had probably set up the wave good enough that he felt okay to TP. And hey, you know, yes, XP on cooldown, but not the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it's not the worst. I think the concern here is more about the follow-up play is, again, your bot lane was drafted to play aggressively. It's already behind. Now you have TP disadvantage. Lee Sin doesn't need to spend his. He just walks back. And once he hits level 6 here, he's going to be able to threaten a potential TP and try to look for a play, maybe down on this bot lane to really put them further behind. And that's what TL, I think, is going to have to worry about. But we'll see if Fake God and the rest of Dignitas can actually set up that play to make it on that punish.
Whoop, I saw that, Jensen. We all saw it. You missed the cannon minion, buddy. There was no one against you. That's on you. I mean, that's why I put the fizz emote. He's like, yeah. It's just those flippery, man. It's just too tanky. It happens.
Got away with it too if it wasn't for those dastardly observers.
I know. Gosh, no one else would have known, you know. I guess everyone on ProView would have known. Shout out ProView, by the way. Pretty great. Either way, the farm continues. Pretty equal CS between the junglers right now. 45 to 39, not too far off. As Afro knows he can get away from the rel engages. It's telegraphed enough, you can always W backwards or eat to a teammate, so very safe down here. That might have been part of the reason for Rakan, is you can just kind of get away from rel. Dardoch is level 5, trying to bait the fight. They know Santorin's here. They don't know that they've got Nocturne, so can you do damage to Core JJ? Flash W lands, crash down away. Jenkins finds the kill with the ulti, and it's time to run away. Bit off more than they can chew. Tactical finds 2, and now it's, oh my word, Neo finds it thanks to a good kick backwards. Ulti not quite gonna kill Yasui. Nearly had it. Nearly had it. Couldn't get it at the end of the day. 2-2 on the scoreboard.
I think it is either. He could have gone in for the kill. Obviously, he would have died. Didn't want to go for the trade there. And this ends up being pretty darn good for TL because while Jenkins didn't have TP, he gets a kill with his ultimate plus the assist. He takes a turret plate. That is so good for him. And Dignitas don't really get anything off of their teleports. So they go in for the initial play here onto Core JJ, but this is just kind of giving time for Tactical to stack up the spears. He is free firing this entire time. The GP ulti gets dropped. Both Core JJ and Santorin are able to walk out with very low health. Fake God comes in, and they do kill off Tactical, but really, that's all they're able to get, and that was really so close. Maybe Asui could have gotten auto in before the E for the kill. But it is dicey, and when you're under the tower, you know if you get CC'd up, you are dead, so didn't want to risk it.
Didn't do it. Turret plate goes down in the mid lane, though. Tactical feeling pretty good. 56 CS, a kill, a turret plate. A reasonable game right now, and hey, Team Liquid up to a 700 gold lead. Now, part of that is from Gangplank. Only some of that is the free gold he prints, though. It's actually just a raw CS lead of 13, and the kill obviously adding a lot as well.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference is that when we saw Jenkins TP'd in, he had the wave pushed out. When we saw Lee Sin TP in, his wave wasn't actually fully pushed out, so he was losing minions, losing turret plates, and Jenkins got the cross-map ulti kill, which is so nice. When you are playing GP, you pretty much just want to AFK in your lane and play cross-map with your ulti, and if you can pick up kills or assists with that, you are really in your comfort zone.
Nice try on the Ezel, not going to land the damage. Wanted to maybe push him off. It's not going to matter, though. Jenkins, not handed the blue, actually. Could have tossed that one over easily, but says, I've got the mana pool, don't worry about it. Santorin gets the golden XP instead. Nice try on the damage from Yasui, keeping pretty close to this lane, but overall, Jensen ahead in mid.
And everyone is just staying up towards the top side. I mean, no one is laning bot right now. Both teams are very clear that they actually want to fight for this, and Dignitas isn't willing to call it off. They're not willing to just go back down to bot and try to push for some plates. I actually prefer when teams do that, just leave your AD bot and just try to actually shove that out, get the guaranteed advantage. Instead, Dignitas do look like they want to fight. They feel like they're playing from a position of power right now, but both teams just kind of bleeding out golden experience.
Either way, I mean, because there's a fifth person there, sure, it delays the Herald from happening, but yeah, I tend to agree with you that I think teams over-prioritize moving the AD carries up. Either way, Herald is being started yet again, and Team Liquid, with Tactical still sticking around, is going to be earning that gold Neo on the slow walk down. Afro might get a ward or two. Otherwise, though, it's, okay, first dibs in the wave as it crashes into the turret.
Yeah, GP might just ult this, though, because they took a long time to actually go down here, and the wave was pushing away from them, so Dignitas won't have as many minions to farm, and the wave is stacked, so it might actually be worth a GP ulti, but we see Tactical running down, so may decide to just hold on to that, and we'll see how many plates they do get. With the GP ulti coming through, it's just going to be one plate, but I do think if Dignitas was down here, not only would they have picked up an additional wave and a half, or maybe even 2 waves of minions, but they probably could have actually pressured and gotten that second tower plate, and since Israel already has 2 kills, it just feels like it's worth investing in him and trying to get him to this point where he can maybe take over the game.
Yeah, tend to agree. Anyway, though, we are at a 200 gold difference. Has been brought down somewhat, again, because of the turret play bot lane and everything else that's gone on to this one. But there's, of course, a Herald in the inventory of Santorin. That should kind of double the lead that TL have right now. Regardless, a close game between the two teams at 13 and 8. Both of whom bringing in new players this split. Jenkins in the top of the one side, Yasui on mid in the other. Dardoch, do not believe we've seen an ult from him just yet on the Nocturne. None of these lanes really seems to have been in a state where they were diveable post 7 minutes, so he's just kind of waiting around and farming.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can try to punish Jenkins. If Jenkins goes for an overpush, that's definitely a lane that you can look to chase down. Yes, GP has the oranges there for the Fear Tether, but if Lee Sin is in on top of him, if he's pushed up in that long lane, it is someone that you can abuse. Pretty much feels like it has to be there or bot. Viego, I think, is going to be very difficult to actually take down. It's so easy to just break the Fear Tether with your ultimate and just kind of run defensively using your W for that little mini dash. But TL looking like they want to just try to set up for this dragon. They already have one. You could even just drop Herald and use that for additional pressure to secure it, but not feeling like they even need to do that just yet, as they have bot Prio. Santorin's already on it, and with Ballista here, it's just going to be their dragon.
Okay, 2 dragons to 0. A small gold lead to boot, and a Rift Herald waiting to be used, as ult not going to happen. I gotta say, it is so much less nerve-wracking being a jungler in mid-game, because like the ult smite was like maybe 600, and now it's 900. And it's like nothing at 12 minutes is 900 damage. Like, except Cho'Gath Feast. That's the one thing you have to worry about, and it's like, other than Cho'Gath, like, I'm always gonna land the smite unless I'm completely trolling. And it feels so good to know, like, I'm not worried about it. It's fine.
Yeah, now you just have to worry about the other jungler, right? You know,
yeah.
Those long-range snipes.
But then you blame your team. It's their fault for not peeling. That's not me getting smite stolen.
True. There's always someone else.
Yeah, it's always someone else. Junglers blame the support. Everyone else blames the jungler. We keep going around.
#1 rule of League of Legends.
Yeah.
It's never my fault.
Yeah. Top laners blame the bottom lane. And the jungler, they get 3 for 1.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep. There you go.
Yep.
All right. Well, the push continues here. Jenkins, very rich. Another good GP game from him. You know, his laning has been really, really nice. We did get to see him with a strong performance into the Gwen. Now here again, up in farm, good TP timing. And Fake God got really nothing from his, so the gold lead has extended. He's gotten the early Mythic complete. Triforce seems to be coming really kind of back into favor. For a while there, it was pretty much all Shield Bow into Essence Reaver, or Essence Reaver into Shield Bow, excuse me.
Right, sure.
But it was much more about that sort of style, and people are starting to kind of prioritize going just straight towards a Mythic rush here with the Triforce, and sometimes even Divine Thunder once again.
Yeah, and some of that is, I think, Triforce's build got better, right? It became more about the ability haste and everything else, which is just like the primary stat that a Gangplank wants. So yeah, that's felt good for him. I like the build. And so far, he's doing, of course, very well on this Gangplank, waiting around 3 minutes on the next dragon. That's going to be quite a while, but I mean, realistically, TL's on a decent pace for Dragon Soul. It's looking at what, 22 minutes if they get them on cooldown. That's amazing.
It absolutely is, and both teams are actually very focused on the ultimates, so ultimate cooldown reduction is very powerful, I feel like, this game. Herald's going to get dropped here right before the plates do go down. They cash in on that, extending the gold advantage here up about 1.4k. Heading back towards that bot side, see if they can pressure Neo. If he steps forward, he would be in trouble, but does not risk anything.
He's going to be just fine. Divine Center done, though, is the first big power spike. So Neo, maybe the most powerful champion on the map right now, because Divine Center Ezreal is really that strong. That can change over time. Afro going to find a knock-up onto Core JJ. He's also okay. Easy escape for Afro. He's back to a teammate. No problems. And realistically, bottom river doesn't even really matter right now. Scuttle's going to time out well before the dragon spawns back up. We are just clearing minions away. And there's not much to play for. Another Herald comes up pretty soon. That'll be a play eventually, but otherwise we really are just wave clearing. No one seems to be in a spot to siege any turrets down, so still a lull state for a while.
Yeah, and I think it's going to come down to the next dragon, right? I think TL wants to try to snowball towards Soul. I think a Dignitas is going to have to challenge. I don't think you can give away a third dragon at 16.5 minutes and just be okay with it. Because the chances are just too high that they're going to be able to cash in on that Soul, which is honestly quite good, I think, for a lot of the members of this team. So that's likely what it will come down to. You know, Dignitas playing a more passive game. They had been kind of having a more aggressive look, I felt like, last week, but this time around, TL just getting a lot of lane advantages. They're the ones pressuring in the plays that Dignitas did go for. Didn't really work out, and Dardoch hasn't really been able to find any sort of a look, and he's usually the guy that is kind of that proactive player. So we'll see if they can go for something now if Tactical starts forward. Dardoch is there.
Yeah, jumps in for a bit of damage. Felt safe because he's got a jungler nearby. Ultimately, wave comes in. No re-engage coming across. So, okay, yeah, just a little bit of poke, but you're against a Vamp Scepter. It's not going to matter. No problems at all for Tactical.
Yeah, I think that was a nice try by Neo. When you shift in there, I think you're trying to bait the ultimate and the commit. But when you shift aggressively randomly for one of the first times in the lane, these players have a good read on it. His support wasn't beside him. They don't know where Dardoch is, so good communication there. And now it is TL's turn to look for an aggressive play. We'll see if they want to commit, but again, Dignitas backing it up. Both teams are playing pretty intelligently around where the junglers could be, and it's resulting in this much more passive game.
Yeah, we're really just chilling. But now it's going to heat up. We've got 35 seconds till the Cloud Drake comes alive, and that's going to be the big play. Dignitas, right spot at the right time for now. A smite and a take on the bottom Rift Scuttle is going to make sure Dignitas has vision. Team Liquid, obviously they want to keep the stacking going. They should feel comfortable. I mean, they're certainly up 1,700 gold. More and more, that is going to be the Gangplank free gold from the queue. So if you use gold leads to measure who's winning because they're playing better, this does lie to you slightly. But still, it is feeling Team Liquid favored. 6 seconds now on the spawn, and honestly, Scuttle's the only bit of control Dignitas has down there.
Yeah, I mean, they lose full control because Dardoch wanted the reset. He had Strikebreaker gold, so he goes back to base, but that was with 20 seconds until the dragon was spawning. So now, the entrance here, if they go for it, is very awkward, and Core JJ would have a good angle.
Charm jumps in, big damage to the jungler, flash forced away, Nocturne dies, finds the kill, but Dardoch trades himself 1-for-1 as a ballistic missile. Honestly, they could have just zoned the Rumble out and tried, but the re-engage is beautiful. A double kill for Tactical. Thank you very much. Keep on going. Gets a stopwatch out. The health bar is incredibly low. Where's number 3? Gets it for the triple kill. Right in front of him is the Lee Sin. Akali picks up 2. Yasui onto the roster. Saves the team fight 3-3 overall.
Okay, Jenkins, though, that barrel chain was huge for the team. An explosive team fight. We are into a pause. We will let you know as soon as we find out any additional info about what is going on here. You can see TL looking like they are talking to team. Jensen perhaps with a bit of an issue. But, you know, TL does end up winning out on that fight because the Dignitas Soul Laners were pushed away. So TL should have control of that Dragon Pit. Should potentially be grabbing that third straight dragon for them, which would be really, really big, despite the fact that it was that even trade of kills. It's likely TL to come out with the advantage.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what the health bars look like afterwards, because sometimes if you're all at 10% and you're just like, well, we can at best wave clear mid, but we're going to recall, it's like, cool. Like, just have someone go auto-attack that thing and you're going to knock down the turret, or knock down the dragon itself, I should say. So that may well be what Team Liquid could get here. I want to confirm what you were saying. It was Jensen who paused. We were investigating. That is the limit of the information that I have. Looks like players being allowed to talk, so no one's so aversely affected that like, oh no, this guy's got to go headset off. It's like, okay, that's when both teams need to, not communicate, so there's no extra advantage. Otherwise, though, yeah, I will say though, honestly, even with Jenkins in, I thought Team Liquid had looked pretty good overall in the first week. Like they still look like they're one of the teams fighting for a championship. I think they're still in that S tier of the top 3 or maybe top 4 that Kaizen was talking about. And to that discussion, was Dignitas still pretenders? Kind of, right? It still felt like they were maybe the 5th best team. And then with Yui coming in, I'm like, okay, but I really liked Soligo. Like I thought he was playing really well. Like I don't think he was bad or anything, but I mean, so far Soligo's pretty solid.
Yeah. I mean, I think Yusui's been good here today. But it's tough, right? It's like you kind of just need a greater sample size with these roster changes to really form a strong opinion, right? I think that Jenkins has been looking pretty good. So an audio issue there being investigated for Jensen. Jenkins has been looking good, but can he actually provide the same sort of threat that we saw from Alfari? I think his GP games have been good, but Alfari was not just the best top laner last split. Yeah, he was like historically dominant, right? Yeah, This is one of the best laners ever in the LCS. One of the best laning performances ever in the LCS. So he had incredible impact on the game, and it's really tough to ask anyone, I don't care who it is, to step in and actually fill those shoes. So it's a different look for TL. To our earlier conversation when we talked about like different styles and how not every team has to play in the same way or have the same flexibility, and maybe TL can actually find a way to make it work in a similar way with Jenkins, right? They played with more defensive top laners in the past. Of course, Impact also incredible in his own right. Yeah. But we are back to live here, and those HP bars very low for Dignitas. So I was kind of expecting Jensen to go straight over towards the Dragon, but it looks like it is more of that full reset. I still think they will have Prio here, but let's watch this one more time. As they engage on the overheated Rumble, they go in, they do get the execute. The GP ult was very defensive here. I think he was expecting a full commit to the dive, but that barrel chain from Jenkins was honestly game-changing. Felt like that kind of won them the fight. Then Tactical over the side, flashing in. He's on top of Neo, able to take him down as well with those final autos. I mean, if he died a split second earlier, if Fake God's able to get over there with that flash a little bit earlier and actually kill off Tactical, and you see the Ezreal survive, then maybe the follow-up play looks a little bit different. But neither team has been able to make their way to the Dragon, so feels like it's a reset and get ready to rumble one more time.
And honestly, I'm a fan of where the gold went. So Kalista certainly scales well with gold. She's on her way towards what looks to be Hurricane basic components. Obviously a good second item there as well. But 2 kills on Akali is one you really, really got to be careful about. Yasui could step in and be the difference maker in knocking down Team Liquid and grabbing what I would believe be about 3rd place in the standings. Cloud Drake, though, being attacked, and looks like there was no contest. At best award. TP's coming in, but they're going to be too late to stop Dragon. But maybe the team fight's good enough. Looking at the charm coming in, they're going to find the knockout. The smite is way too early. It is claimed still by Jensen. Getting away from Core JJ. Damage coming across. I can't find that kill. Rumble, though, is down. And now Yasui wants a bit more. Waiting to chase on in. Jensen low. Core JJ the same. Lee Sin out of energy. And it's going to be the tower giving Team Liquid safety. 3 dragons to 0, but Dignitas clearly able to win fights.
I mean, that just seems like bad communication from Dignitas. They were just way too late. I mean, they even had a ward on the Dragon. You see it being started up, and you're still way too late. So it was even a very early smite from Santorin. They do end up actually securing it with the Viego. If this is post 20 minutes, then maybe it's more acceptable to actually play for the fight instead of the Dragon, because if you kill the jungler, then this is a Baron maybe being threatened. And then all of a sudden, maybe that trade becomes worthwhile. But in the end, 1 kill for a soul point is something that TL will always want to take.
Yes, indeed. So you get a very late Rift Herald. Now this will do 2750 to a turret. It'll be a lot of damage, but yes, I take TL side of this game every time.
Yeah, so they do go for the engage. Let's watch this Dragon one more time. Very early smite. He wasn't even low on health, so honestly that is pretty surprising. Maybe just a little bit confused about what was going on during the Nocturne ulti. They do get 1 kill for themselves, but of course GP ulti, hard to continue that chase through. And Lee Sin just not enough energy to actually continue forward in that fight. So Jenkins now going to be able to clean up a tower.
Yeah, a little demolish, a little trial by fire, a little bit of 300 gold in his pockets. Out you go. Looks pretty good.
Ravenous. He's going for Ravenous next, it looks like here. And this is actually pretty nice. The sustain can really give you some legs in the side lane. Being able to just continuously shove forward these waves so fast with the additional cleave there. The Omni Vamp, I think, is actually pretty underrated on GP. So a nice buy, one of the less common ones, but it is something that I think if you want to play in the side, it just has a lot of value.
Yeah. I think it's also the highest ability haste item you can get for a fighter, realistically, unless you're going Cosmic Drive, which, nope, you are definitely not. It doesn't do anything good for you there. Yeah,
makes you run fast, freak.
It makes you run fast. I think, I forget which part's gated behind having 150 AP. I think it's actually the move speed.
Just get a Death Cap, too.
Just get a Death Cap, too. You know what? That's some good advice right there from Azael. So, yeah, I think AP Gangplank should be the new build. You heard it here first. We are never wrong here in the caster desk. 2,000 gold lead remains the difference. More and more, this is largely built by Gangplank. But hey, he's on 2 items. That's going to feel good. You can see, yep, 1,500 of that gold lead is Gangplank. Now again, yeah, the farm, that's a big part of it, right? He's up 20 CS. That's you know, about a third of that lead.
And plates, right? You know,
yeah,
so it is farm. He got that bottom tower. He took a plate or two top. So he has been getting quite a bit of gold in his pockets. And going to be a lot of threat now for Dignitas. You know, you have to be worried about potential Baron take because it is Kalista. They can actually do this very fast. There's a lot of Vamp over on Jensen, and he can kind of lifesteal tank up the Baron and some of these objectives for you for a long time there. So it's something that Dignitas will have to be constantly wary of, but likely the fight will happen at this dragon, and Dignitas must get it. It really does feel like, or they're going to be having a really tough time, I think, in this game with all of the LTCDR, with the additional move speed. It does feel very valuable in a game where it is a lot of melee champions who want to either close the gap or retreat from the initial engage.
Defensive wave clear for the most part on the Dignitas side. I haven't seen almost anyone even try sieging, and you can see by the fact that it's a kill lead for Dignitas. The gold is close, and yet the turret score is 2-0. The Dragon score 3-0. Dignitas have yet to be the proactive team with a Nocturne.
I mean, it's one of those situations where maybe they're just not as comfortable with this style of comp, right? There's essentially 8 melee champions. You know, I'm going to put Rakan into that bucket as well. So sieging becomes more difficult because there is explosive engage on both sides. It feels like both teams are a little bit hesitant to walk forward and give over that engage. But it is, you know, something where you can still push forward the game in a different way, right? You can look to invade, set up vision in your opponent's jungle, take away jungle camps. It doesn't have to always be about the towers. You can try to look to force those fights in different areas, and both teams have been pretty okay just playing a passive. But to be honest, if you're on the TL side, it's hard to criticize them because they're the ones that are creating the incremental advantages. They're the ones that are looking for a 24-minute soul here. It's Dignitas that it feels like are giving up more and still not looking to really force any engages.
I'm just chilling. Maybe they think they have the late game. That might be true, honestly. I think Ezreal is an absolute powerhouse at 6 items, and Kalista somewhat falls off. I think maybe Akali has some really solid scaling as well, but ultimately, we're waiting for Dragon Soul. It's up in 10 seconds. Rift Herald summoned in mid. Neo should feel safe with the red buff to just go for some poke and get away from any engage, but hasn't landed any of that damage just yet. So the TPs come down, top lane wave will crash in, but here comes the dragon being started. When does Dignitas actually move forward? It's just too late. They had a 5-minute countdown timer, and somehow they're still late to the party.
I mean, I don't know what they're expecting. You have 0 vision, literally no wards. Yeah, you have TP, but Fake God is top lane, Yasui based, Dardoch is doing Raptors. How are you supposed to actually set up vision? And yes, they have the TPs, yes, they have the ability to engage, but you can't walk in blind. It takes time to set up that vision, clear brushes one by one. Dignitas have completely neglected that at the last 2 dragons, so you know, I'm always critical of calling something free, but like this was pretty darn near free. They didn't even have to fight for that, so as a result, TL now in a pretty commanding position with that soul, and we'll see if they feel comfortable to try to push the game forward here, or if it's just going to be continuing to kind of sit back, wait for the next objective, now go for Elder, try to use that to take Baron. TL could be looking for that route.
Let's see what's next. Fake God and Jenkins see each other. Big damage to start out from the Gangplank. Barrels are going to land again. Fake God at half health. Nowhere to jump to. Gets hysterics popped. And he's dead in 2 more Qs. Honestly, that barrel could be it. Has to flash get away, but he still runs so fast. So a kick gets him to safety, but Fake God burned everything he possibly could, and Jenkins still at full health.
Really nicely done. You get the flash out from the Lee Sin. That's one of the big playmaking tools he has. So taking that flash off just increases your confidence in these team fights. That's one of the X factors that they would really be looking for, trying to get something done with it. And Dignitas is just struggling to find that playmaker. It's usually Dardoch, but on the Nocturne, doesn't really have that early game agency, and now it's TL going in.
Gage comes across, Nocturne can't press a single button, down he goes, and hey! It's time for the next objective for Team Liquid. Dignitas don't have Smite. It's going to be a pretty easy push forward. We'll see if Dig make him work for it. Quick spell shield by Jensen, the tail end of Nocturne. Not bad. Barrel hits after, then about 3/4 does Dignitas team fight. They're 5v4. They're going to try to find Jenkins. They can't get him just yet. There's the charm. They're going in for the play to find a single kill. Yasui over the wall. They're going to flash in to go for a bit more. Jenkins will die, but the Baron will follow. So now it's a team fight in the 4-on-4. Fake God, no kick for 3 more seconds, but what about dealing big damage to the backline? Tactical a bit low, kicked back, puts the shield on, and Santorin knocks down Neo. And it's time for a retreat. Nice stopwatch. Tactical stays alive. Fake God wants it, can't find it. Double kill for the Rumble. Easy escape. Santorin puts the ulti down, and Yasui's just on the run. Wants to get away from Jensen. Flash gets over the wall. A single kill. Put it back for 2 plus the Baron.
Yeah, rough game here for Dig. Again, not able to contest, and Neo, I think, feeling the pressure, felt like he had to make something happen there. He shifts in aggressively. TL just turn on him and kill him off, and as soon as the Ezreal falls, you've got no chance in the ensuing fight. So TL continuing to stack objectives here. They've got Soul, they've got Baron. We can watch this one more time. I like the idea to actually go for the GP. If you don't think you can take the committed 4v5, you kill off the GP. But they wanted to continue the fight very clearly. They were hoping to take this 4v4 afterwards, but just keep your eyes on Neo. You know, Akali has already used the ulti. You know that Ezreal is going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. You're looking for the poke, but then just shifts in, you know, trying to look for Tactical, but Tactical wasn't even that low yet, and he's at the maximum distance that you would even be able to auto him for. He still had this shield bow. He had a stopwatch. Yes, he does end up almost going down, but the lives are not equal there. You've got to prioritize keeping yourself safe, poking them down, and playing that fight out much more slowly.
Yeah, it's a missed call. Unfortunate for Neo, but that is one of the big missteps. Dignitas, I said last week, I feel they are the best team fighting team in the LCS. That said, that was last week's roster. There's maybe an intangible there for Soligo. I don't know, it's one game, it's hard to say. Yasui's playing well, but the game does not look the same as it did last week. There's a lot of factors it could be, but Dignitas a bit lost in the mid-game.
And I will say, you know, this is somewhat similar to the Dignitas we saw last split, where they did have some of these games that were kind of a flop. They had these exciting games where they'd be really proactive early, they'd have incredible team fights, and then they had games like the Rengar game, right, where it just Dardoch really never got anything going, and it feels like he's kind of that spark plug for the team. If he is not having a good game, often they become very, very passive. And it does feel like Dignitas has kind of fallen into that hole where they're just kind of giving everything up. They're fighting a little bit too late. Even though it is 7-8, the game has felt so one-sided because they're always late to the objective and they're never really stopping those win conditions from coming through here for TL, who is now creating their first really big gold lead of the game.
Well, Fake God, Fancy Feet gets away from a fight in a 1v2, but it's a red buff steal, and it's a continued siege for the top side. Top outer already killed. Jensen on the way for top tier 2 now as well. That's going to be no problem. Yasui is able to answer some things. Split pushing Akali, certainly getting rich at 262 CS, but the team fights are still going to matter. Red Bull Baron about to end up. Solid gold lead gain, though. TL 4, turrets to 3. At least Split pushing gotten something back. But yeah, with the Baron recalls, TL are untouched, and they walk away cleanly.
We'll back it up again, just going to reset back for another objective here, right? Dignitas this time, at least Afro's out here trying to get some vision on that recall timing. We'll see if Dignitas can actually maintain it or if they're going to be late to yet another objective. You know, TL will have a very clear focus on this. They go back, they spend up their gold. You know, GA coming through here for Tactical is huge. He's kind of one of those critical members that you want to be able to pile in on and take out early on in the fight, or it's going to be difficult to win. So, grabbing the G8, very big. We can see both mid and top just completed an item. You've got the Sterix, you've got that Black Cleaver. A lot of physical damage on the side of TL, so Black Cleaver, not bad. You know, gives you the CDR, gives you a little bit of shred there for Jensen. So, I think I like the buy.
Yeah, and any AD heavy team comp, you really like it. Honestly, Cleaver's stat profile fits what he needs as a Viego, and yeah, he's setting up for Tactical, so big fan here. Guardian Angel done for Dad's Gold knows he is one of the only viable targets. Everyone else quite durable, so it's cool. You can't kill me either. Easy to just stay alive. And now ulti's burned to the bottom side. Charm coming across, looking for the knockup, looking for damage to Jenkins. But the rest of TL are collapsing, so how about the 5-on-5? Lights go out. Do they ever actually go in? No. TL stay grouped. Fight not tenable for Dignitas as Neo keeps going for a bit of poke, but has to run away. Fake God dropped a little bit down as well. Ulti gonna land on 2, not bad, but that can be healed back up, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Ravenous Hydra. He's just gonna heal back up immediately off this wave, and now it's Afro without his ulti, Darlock without his ulti. That is the engage, really, unless Fake God can find some sort of a miracle kick. It's going to be really tough. TL could just start this up at this point, start stacking the spears in here. And Dignitas is going to have to depend on Neo to really find some miraculous poke, because otherwise, CoreJJ still got everything available.
Stun. Afro, he's in danger. He is down. What a stun combo coming across. Dardock going to drop as well. Easy 2 for 0. Team Liquid picked up everything they could ever want. Decides, all right, fine. I'll take the knockdown at the very end of the day. Jensen is wearing that skin real quick. Former Team Liquid jungler, and now it's going to be the Team Liquid mid laner, and Neo, it doesn't have anywhere to go. Easily picked up, good job tactical, walks away, still has Guardian Angel, a stun on Isui. He's not going to have the damage. Elder Dragon is on, one spell will kill him. Jensen wants it, can he find it? Flash Q, he'll burn, he is down. Team Liquid find 4 unanswered kills. They grab themselves the Elder Dragon as well, and it's time to go for the base.
Very clean win here from TL, controlling objectives start to finish. Every dragon is theirs, the Barons are theirs, and they are marching down mid lane here.
Is it going to end right now? Nocturnal comes in. He just wants to go for the wave. That is not an int that is trying to save the game. That is a non-tilt play. That is sacking KDA. Same spot now. Fake God gets rid of the minions. Afro going to be on the way out, but this will keep Nex alive for 15 more seconds. The question is, though, with those 3 deaths, to just kill the game anyway. Afro just running away, but he's holding the wave still for longer as he finally runs out here.
Yeah, might actually force them to go for Baron. We'll see if they want to stick around, but they're now down in bot lane. They have minions pushing there too, and Tactical's going in.
2v1, Neo, you are definitely going down. They hold it for a while. They find the knockup, they find the ace, and there is a new wave coming. There was attempted heroics from Dignitas, but it is a 5v4. There's not much more else to do. It might have looked silly, but it really was the only chance Dig had. Down goes Yasui, trying to find some kind of miracle play, but it's not gonna happen today. Team Liquid will find their 14th win. Jenkins staying on the roster, looking pretty good against Dignitas, as they might just pad the stats. They're waiting for the respawn. Slowly but surely they will knock down the Nexus, and they will take the win.
Nicely done there for TL. Jenkins, good performance. His team fighting on the GP was honestly really good.
Yeah.
He was landing so many barrel chains, it felt like, in a lot of those 5v5s. The laning was good as well. TL, they were cruising in this one, made it look pretty easy here. And Dignitas just kind of lacking that killer instinct, it felt like, was always late to the objectives, didn't really have the proper setup in a lot of these instances around the objectives to challenge. And TL, there was no reason for them to play more aggressive because they're getting everything they want. They're slowly extending the advantage. They're winning in the side lane with GP. They're getting every dragon. They got the Barons. They got it all.
Yeah, their slow game worked really well, so congratulations, Team Liquid. Off to a decent start so far. Bows required. Good job, Team Liquid. Well done. Proud of you guys. Got a couple of smiles. Thank you, Santorin.
They could definitely hear you, so if there was no response at all, it would have been, ooh.
Yeah, so thank you, Santorin, making me look less stupid. That is good, because that's a hard feat sometimes, making me look less stupid. So that's impressive. He can do it all. He can win league games.
You've never been able to manage it yourself.
No, I know. I need someone else to do it for me, and that is why Santorin is the best jungler in the LCS now, just for that reason. Obviously, a very, very good player. Team Liquid, runners up in the spring split, went to 5 games. New roster from this one now as well. Obviously, Santorin's back in, Jenkins in, and a decent start right now. So there are very few undefeated teams left in the summer split. It's just Immortals.
Yeah. Well, and we'll have to see. They're going to obviously be playing later today. We'll see if they can maintain that because they have some swaps of their own happening. With
Pretty going to the mid lane, so that'll be a fun one to watch for as well. Dignitas, I want to spend a little bit of time on it because I did have some pretty high beliefs for them. They looked obviously pretty good overall. Do not check the game up just to Yasui, of course. He actually looked pretty good in the Akali. Landing phase seemed fine. His team fights were actually quite good. A couple of really, really narrow near kills that maybe changed shape of the game. But you mentioned it. Some Dig games do look like this. a sample size of 1 is not enough to know for sure like what's going on here.
Yeah.
I know one of the things that Soligo said he was working on in the beginning of the split was communication. And you know, my guess going to be this swap is because they wanted a more communicative mid laner. They wanted someone who clearly got good hands. Again, Yusui played well, but they wanted more talking. That said, though, the squad did not look like it came together in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, it's like at the end of the day, they drafted 3 losing lanes and a jungler that can't really gank early.
Yeah.
Right? And then so it's like, okay, well, expected result, you're behind. Expected result, you lost early dragons to Kalista. And then to me, largely the game then feels like hinges on that 3rd dragon, which they were late. 4th dragon, you're late.
Yeah.
And you know, those are kind of those key moments where you have got to have the correct base timings. You cannot be basing, you know, 10, 15, even 20 or 30 seconds before the dragon. It's got to be being there early, setting up early, getting the vision down so that you don't have to spend all this time trying to clear brushes while your opponents are actually already on the dragon.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is a game where Dignitas actually got the early lead in bot lane, right?
Yeah.
Like, not only did CoreJJ lose his flash very, very early on from an invade that was thwarted, but they found first blood onto Kalista. And it's like, okay, you first blooded the AD carry. You've got bot control. No, sorry, Kalista's getting the dragon at 5:30. It's like, what happened? You were already, like, this was already on the path to victory where you just punish the flash with Kalista over and over. Aurel can't really peel that. You can reliably spell shield 1 over 2 stuns, and the rest damage probably comes through. And they couldn't get it together. Dignitas, I think, do have really, really shaky early games. They often get it like over the line in late game 5 on 5s. That one did not happen here. TL play the team fights really well. So, yeah, no comeback.
Yeah, and I think TL is also deserving of credit. Like we talked about it a bit in game, but how well they actually tracked where the Nocturne could be. You know, they were not getting baited whatsoever. Dardoch did go down the bot lane a number of times, waited in those brushes, waited for TL to overstep. They never did. They had such a good idea of where he was, often by having, you know, the push topside. They get a deep ward. They say, all right, well, he's not top. He's probably bot. Play safe around the Nocturne ult. They didn't give them those easy opportunities to get back into the game.
True. So ultimately, no turnaround for Dignitas. A well-played game, though, for Team Liquid, taking a big win. Now, for now, we're going to be joining Tigris and Tactical for our Verizon postgame interview.
Thank you so much, Freak. Woo! What a game. Went a little quicker if anybody stepped away for a drink. How did this match against Dignitas align with your expectations?
Yeah, so we had a pretty aggressive comp. We picked Kalista. We wanted to have an aggressive early game and like trying to get as much leads as we can. And in the game for me, I was kind of worried a little bit, but then it seemed like we're all on the same page in terms of how we want to fight and play around objectives. So in terms of like the objective game, we got all 4 dragons as fast as we could. We got Baron. We just played all objective fights, which was pretty good, I think. There wasn't like too much random things. So I think the game went how it should have.
And nothing like a triple kill on Kalista at Drake to get your blood pumping. Plenty of objectives secured for the team. You just mentioned that Kalista pick, actually. Something that we haven't seen as frequently yet in Summer, though we know you to be experienced on the pick. Why did you bring her out here today?
Yeah, so I just think it's a pick where if you're able to snowball early or just make sure you secure every objective, it's something that it's like a win condition you have when you pick the champion. And I believe that if our team could understand like how to play around the pick and whatnot, we could make use of it. So I think so far our Kalista pick has been paying off so far. So we picked it today.
Yeah, for sure paid off. And you also mentioned the fact that everyone seemed on the same page when it came to these team fights, which isn't something that all teams can say when you do have roster changes. How quickly were you all getting in sync with Jenkins stepping onto this roster?
I think we're doing really well with Jenkins, actually. Everything's pretty smooth. I think he has a pretty good understanding, and then it's pretty easy to mesh with him, especially in team fights. It's just it's just a different player, so it's always going to be something we'll have to work on, but so far I think he's meshing in well with us.
And looking forward for what you and he and the rest of the squad having come up, you are going to be facing off against Evil Geniuses. While they haven't picked up a win yet, some are still talking about the fact that Danny does show a lot of promise. What are your thoughts into the upcoming bot lane matchup?
Well, personally, I really want to stomp Danny. Welcome him to the LCS, of course. Me and Core will show him a great time, and I'm looking forward to the matchup.
Your definition of a great time might be different than other people's in this situation, but Tactical, great performance today, and thank you so much for stopping by on the stage.
Thank you.
Sure feels good to be back right here. And speaking of Danny, we will see EG taking on Immortals after this break. Stay tuned.